There's a lot of exciting things that I think will carry on in the lives of our students and in my life.
The schedule was so packed, and when we got there were so many things to do, and it turned out like we were just there doing what the people needed us to do, and just working for God. We started every morning with personal devotions and then a team devotion, and we ended every night with worship and a team debrief. Be really, really intentional about seeking God out, and He will answer your call and He will give you strength.
That was important to the group in Alaska, but it's also been important to us all year, and I think that's going to carry us into next year as well.
Whether it was the girls at sports camp or the homeless people, just having so many opportunities to share God's love was just really cool, and it's cool to come back here and look for those opportunities in Portland too.
Love answered prayer. He's completely faithful. He wanted this mission trip to be a success no matter how much it cost, and we saw that.
God's power is really perfect. I don't think I've ever been so exhausted in my life. We hardly got any sleep. There are lots of different distractions. People are getting sick. A lot of things are happening back at home for a lot of us. Every morning before sports camp, I would think, wow, playing with kids is the last thing in the world I feel like doing right now. And every morning, God totally came through and showed me that once again, His power is perfect, His grace is sufficient for me, and that was really impressed upon me this trip.
Basically, as soon as I got back, I really realized how much my eyes were open to things that I normally didn't observe, that I didn't see before.
And I would be like, oh, why is that happening? That's not what I was planning, that's not what I thought should happen, or like how I thought it should go. But then it would always turn out for the better, and that just made me realize that God always has a bigger and better plan. And just really made me see that like it's not my plans at all, it's always about His will, and just seeing how He works in people's lives is really interesting.
I think the most meaningful part of the whole mission trip for me was to be involved with sports camp and to see all these kids show up, and some of them don't even know who Jesus was, and to be able to teach them about God and to be just a good influence in their lives really made an impact on me. As well as having the kids come up to some of the coaches and say how they felt loved at our sports camp. That also gave me the confidence that I needed and showed me that I actually was making an impact on their lives.
This little boy, his name is Keith, at sports camp. I talked to Keith, and at the beginning of the day he was very lost and didn't know what he believed in or anything, and at the end of the day he was so on fire for Jesus, and we got him hooked up with a little comic book picture Bible, and he was so excited about that.
The first day of sports camp, after it was over, we were debriefing, and we had, I believe, 22 kids. And I remember praying that night, I said, God, I just pray that these numbers would double.
22 new kids, our camp size doubled, and we already had more kids than Wilsonville in this supposedly very dark place.
When we prayed, He answered right away. It wasn't something that we had to wait for. He was right there with us. That was a really good reminder for me, because I think so often it's easy for us to pray and then just not really believe or trust that God will answer, or that if He does, it won't be in a time frame that we can recognize. But this trip completely blew that out of the water.
We had a really big role in planting a lot of seeds in the lives of people who needed to hear about God and the gospel, and we really spread it around and made an impact. So I'm really excited to see what Crossroads does up there, and can't wait to hear from them and see how things are going.
The second night that we went on the homeless mission, we met up with Ray again. He took us on a berry hunt. We were always supposed to be really careful about when we touched the homeless people's hands to wash them really quick afterwards and not touch our face because in case of getting infection or something. But he was picking all these berries and like handing them to me, and I was just eating them. Wasn't even caring about any of the infections that were possible or anything. And it was just really cool because I felt at home with the people, and I felt like they were my longtime friends. So that was something that was pretty cool on the trip for me.
I want to thank you guys.
I think the whole team wanted to say thank you to everybody who supported us, the whole church, the people that prayed for us, and those of you that prayed for us and we didn't know about. They were your prayers and your support and your letters and your words of encouragement were extremely appreciated, and we really couldn't have done any of it without you.
God is alive and God is working today. In my life, I wasn't giving God enough credit for the things He was doing. And so in Alaska, when we would go to God in prayer about something that actually seemed pretty incredible to be asking for, and then we'd see that answered, we also saw him work in ways that reminded me a lot of Bible stories and things that we kind of tend to say, oh, that happened in biblical times, but that's not at all the case. It was really encouraging to see him do miraculous things in our presence and hear stories about that and the way it changed our team members and just the way it affected me personally has been really awesome. I now am looking to see God working and to give him glory where glory is due there. And so that's one awesome thing that I take with me from last week.